Morning, Daniel.
Morning, Claire.
So, I mean, this is quite a thing, isn't it? That you think if you combine passports showing that I guess you're talking about the COVID status certification that we were talking about earlier in the week, you can prove you've had a vaccination, a recent negative test, or natural immunity because you've had COVID in the last 6 months. You're confident that means we could get back to full capacity at sports stadiums?
Yes, I do. I think listening to your last guest, I think people should come on holiday in Manchester this summer and watch full crowds playing international sport at Emirates Old Trafford in Manchester. I think this is really, really important because there's been, I believe, some disinformation. There's been information out there that talks about state control, digital ID cards. This is not what this is going to be about. I don't believe the government can be expected to be like a tooth fairy and just let everybody come back into mass gatherings. I think it's really important that we have a practical way that we can get people back into crowds 100% without social distancing. And the only way you can realistically do that is to have a combination approach. And what I mean by a combination approach is one that isn't just vaccine passports, which could be discriminatory if half the population haven't had one. But if you have something that could demonstrate either I've had a vaccine, or I've had a PCR test, or I've had a lap flow test, which, by the way, only 1 in 1,000 currently shows a false positive, or an antibody test, or demonstrate that I've had the disease in the last 6 months. So a combination of measures, we believe that that's something there'll be something in there that'll suit everybody, that will enable us to get full crowds back. And judging by our sales and other venues in cricket sales and sports, there is significant demand for people to get back.
How do you imagine then venues such as your venue will police that? Are you saying what the government, I trust the government to come up with something that can be user friendly, or do you envisage you playing a part in that as well somehow?
Well, I'm on the working group within cricket to return to crowds, and we have people within cricket who are working closely with government, and I think it's about a consultation approach. We have to trust the government in this stage to lead on this process. They are the British government. We can absolutely, as sports, support that process, and all of the major sports are working closely with government to look at draft processes for potential COVID certification. And I think if you look at the NHS Test and Trace app, which had its problems to start with, of course, but actually, once you get over the gloss of criticism, it actually was very, very effective at notifying you if you'd had a close contact with somebody who tested positive. So, I do believe that even as a baseline, the current app from NHS Test and Trace could be used as a base.